Film review, movies, music, culture, politics, society podcast, interviews, movie reviews, and more. Live Sundays at 5:30 p.m. on the Film Review Live channel. Subscribe.
Hi, this is Bernadette Stannis, Thelma from Good Times, and you're watching the Film Review.
Charge the cops. Do your job. Do what you say this country is supposed to be about, the land of the free for all. It has not been free for black people, and we are tired. Don't talk to us about looting. Y'all are the looters. America has looted black people. America looted the Native Americans when they first came here. So looting is what you do. We learned it from you. We learned violence from you. We learned violence from you. The violence was what we learned from you. So if you want us to do better, then damn it, you do better.
We intro with Tamika Mallory, and we're going to go back through this again. We're going to be breaking down the events that's been happening this week, right? And we're going to be talking about, different things. We're going to be talking about what this means. We're also going to be talking about who's been infiltrating the different events, right? Who's infiltrating and what that means. And then, we're going to take your participation. If you feel like calling up or you don't, we're gonna lay this show out for you tonight, right? So I'm going to be doing some quick promotion. So other than everything else, how's your week been?
It's been, I'm just waiting for justice. And I'm not talking about just putting the officers behind bars. I want to see what charges pressed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I want them to do time for what they did.
Uh-huh.
And it wasn't just that one officer. I want all of them to be charged.
Yeah.
And I want them to do time. I'm not talking about just a few years. And you know what? What I'm wondering is, like, when you are, like, let's say an attorney, they'll take an attorney's license, right? They'll take teacher's license away, physicians, right? With the police. When they fire them, I would think they would not be able to go to another city or county or state to work. I would think that they would not be able to perform any type of law enforcement, not even security type work. Because what they do is when they let them go, like for instance, in Cleveland with Tamir Rice, right?
Right.
The policeman that killed Tamir Rice was fired from the Independence Police Department. So all he did was leave Independence and go to Cleveland.
Right.
So Cleveland hired him, right, knowing that he had been dismissed from Independence based on an unsavory record. Right. Right. So you knew he was. What's the nice way to put it? What's the best way to put it?
A little deranged?
Deranged, right?
Right.
So why would you hire this man?
Why would you?
So he went from Independence to Cleveland, and he killed Tamir Rice.
He killed Tamir Rice.
So it's just like, but when they take a license from an attorney, or a doctor or a teacher,
they can't practice.
They can't practice anymore. They can't bounce to another city, state, or county and practice.
That's right.
So why isn't it the same for police officers?
Why isn't it the same?
Because they fired the police officers, right? So what are they going to do? Just bounce and go somewhere else and work?
And that's probably what they'll do. They'll probably just let them bounce on and go on and
like
go
it
on
makes no
someplace
sense.
else. It makes no sense, right? So first of all, we want to send condolences. We didn't do that. We should have done that at the top after we opened up. But condolences to the George Floyd family, friends, brothers, sisters, uncles.
Breonna Taylor.
You know what I'm saying? Mother, father.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We want to say, condolences to to your family, because the way that this man was treated in his ending moments, saying that I can't breathe, saying that, you know, he was calling for his mom, he was calling for his mother at the end, right? And we were watching some show and they were saying that that's something that happens on the battlefield in war, right? Happens in the battlefield in war, that the people are calling out for their moms when they're getting ready to expire. So people, this is documented, this is already known, that this is what happens when a person is getting ready to expire. And for this man to have his knee on his neck for nearly 8 to 9 minutes with his hands in his pockets. You know, I watched the video, and you know why he had his hands in his pockets? Because if he was being defiant to the people that were saying stop, then he put his hands in his pockets, and then he looked over at them, basically looking in the camera and saying, I can do anything I want to because I'm a police officer. I can play God.
And thank God for the young lady who stood in, 17 years old, stood there in front of the police with her cell phone.
Yes.
She was not shook. You know, they tried to intimidate her. She stood there with that phone and she captured everything. 17-year-old young lady.
Unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And you know, she's distraught. She probably needs some counseling after going through all that, right? So I mean, it's just something else. It's something that it's undescribable. But actually, it's really undescribable what this person has done to not only a family, but to the whole community and to the whole United States. You know, it was observed by Pharaoh said that the summer, the spring had come in and the summer was getting ready to come in, and people were going to try to venture outside, and then this buck wipe kills this man this way and kicks her. We were just coming from off of, you know, being in with the virus, hoping that it heated up so that the virus would go away, and that we would be able to you know, just be able to go out a little bit. And this happens, and this has disrupted the whole of America and has caused the peaceful protests, the in-between peaceful protests, the violence of the police, as usual. It has erupted all this. And this butt wipe should just be charged, not only for taking his life, but he should be tried for taking and changing the whole trajectory of what America was going to be like, trying to fight this COVID-19 virus and still try to get to some normalcy. Now it's not normalcy, right? So let's get started with this. Grab your headsets here, right? So we're going to go through, right? What can people, what are the demands that Black people need to make, right, during this situation? Let's go through some of this, and we're going to take a look at it. And, you know, the edit compiled by myself, and we're going to go through and look at some of these things that have been happening and go through and talk about it.
Charge the cops. Do your job. Do what you say this country is supposed to be about, the land of the free for all. It has not been free for Black people, and we are tired. Don't talk to us about looting. Y'all are the looters. America has looted Black people. America looted the Native Americans when they first came here. So looting is what you do. We learned it from you.
Now, if you don't know who this person is, we mentioned her at the top of the show, Tamika Mallory. If you don't know who she is, it's because the media has been blocking her out, right? She first came to prominence as an activist, and she tried to get along with the women's movement.
Right.
But the women's movement are Caucasian women,
Right.
and they have a certain way of doing things. And she said, no, this is not, I'm not going to be, or black women are not going to be
Right.
side attractions just
Right.
used for our abilities, but not have a voice
Right.
in decision making.
Exactly.
That is very important for anyone who is in activism,
Right.
where American black people are concerned.
Right.
Our voice at the table, not just using our abilities,
Right.
but our ability to have a voice in decision making,
Yeah.
right? To be able to make decisions about how things go is our ultimate goal, right? And so, you know, she came to that, and then ever since then, once they found out that they could not control her, all of a sudden, then it turned out not to be so nice, and they have been, how can I say, blocking her from, you know, being seen, heard, recognized, and appreciated. But people who know who she is,
Right.
you know, people know who she is. So if you do not know who Tamika Mallory is, we're introducing you to her right now for the first time. And believe me, when I asked a question a few months ago on my certain social media page about what happened to black women who could speak out, like Sister Soldier, and Tamika Mallory most definitely is one who speaks out and brings forth the truth. So let's continue here.
We learned violence from you. We learned violence from you. The violence was what we learned from you. So if you want us to do better, then damn it, you do better.
Brandon, let's go.
You have some people are laughing, some people are videotaping.
I just threw something on fire, Chris, a firecracker. Something's on fire. Shit.
Viewer discretion is advised because this gets very hairy at moments, and profanity goes across the air. You know, it usually doesn't. But listen, they went and they destroyed the front of the CNN building, right? And what that should tell that organization is that people are tired of the lies and the fear that this particular organization is constantly putting down, right? It's not kicking truth to the people. It's a steady diet of Trump, 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 Trump.
Right.
It used to be when you watch CNN, you would see things happening all over the world. All over the world, you would see different things. Oh my God, look at this, look at this. It has been, since Trump has been in office, they have allowed Donald Trump to take up all of the oxygen. It has been a steady case of them and MSNBC of Trump, 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 anti-Trump, Trump, Trump, make Trump one-term president. So, and everything is misleading. The stories are made to mislead, to get people to go out and move and vote in a certain way. And so the people were tired of it. And so because they were tired of it, they went out and, you know, defaced it. Now, this is my thing. We've got a caller at 314. We're going to pick you up in a little bit. Just stay on the line real quick. We'll pick you up in just a little bit. If that was explosive that had a harder concuss, we remember we were sitting when we were back in Cleveland. We were watching CNN then, and they were showing something that had happened in a hotel in Africa, where there was a suicide bomber.
Right.
He walked in. The African women were dancing. The Europeans were walking around, and then all of a sudden, it was a boom. And when the smoke cleared, the same African women that were dancing, I don't know how the person who had the camera survived it, but they survived it. And the same African women that had been dancing, welcoming in the guests, were laying there dead. Yeah. And so when we saw this and that thing in the it was actually probably an M80 or something, they threw it in there and it went boom. If they had a harder concuss, those police officers would have been dead. So I mean, people need to really think about, what they're doing. Let's take this call real quick. Let's see, 314. 314, who do we have on the line?
Hey, this is Mr. P. Hey, you talking about incidents over in Nigeria?
Yes, that was back in like...
That was Boko Haram.
Yeah, that was back in like 09. Right?
Yeah, that was with Boko Haram.
Yeah. And
Nigerian police don't play. There's a YouTube video where they laid those people down in the ground face first, about 4 or 5 of them. And police walked up behind and shot them in the head. Killed them.
Okay.
See, that's just the way they play. That's the way the country is set up there. What we call police brutality here. You'd be lucky to get that. But let me ask you a question.
Okay.
And I don't know what the people are protesting for. I asked some college students today, and they said they didn't need it. But I want to know what they're protesting for. And also, is there a national police department?
Well, there's a national police.
All the officer belongs to.
Well, there's a national police organization. And then there's the Black Fraternal Order of Police that I personally, when I owned my store for 15 years, I used to donate to. And I also used to donate to the association, the National Association too, to cover myself in situations as a retail owner. So yes, there's a national organization, and then there's the Latino ones.
Is there a national police where everybody is a member of that same police? There's one national police department.
No, there's not a national police department. There's a national police association.
Yeah, there's not like the teachers union, National Education Association, the American Federation of Teachers, and we know that. Now here's the point: if people are protesting about police brutality, all right, then it's those individual municipalities that control the police in that municipality. They are the employees of that municipality. That's where the change is supposed to happen, don't you think?
Actually, I think that the change, because they're talking about police reform and all that, actually you have to totally tear down the whole institution of policing and tear it down from the top to the bottom and get rid of where it comes from, the organizing principle from where it comes from. That's what you have to do.
But let me ask you, how do you achieve that when every police department is autonomous? Let's take Ferguson. Ferguson has a police department. Next to them is Berkeley, that's theirs. Next to them is Castle Point, Moline Acres, Bell Fountain, and so on and so on. Those are individual police departments of those individual cities that are allowed to exist because of the state constitution. So when the people in Ferguson want changes in their police department, like for instance, we don't want you to engage in high-speed chases. Okay? We don't want you to use the tactic of, you know how they used to take the baton and put it on people's throats and choke them? Department stop that. Well, I think some did, but I don't know if they all. There's no way in the world to know. It's 18,000 of them across the country, so there's no way in the world to know what all of them doing.
Why is
So
18?
no way you gonna, some of them are working. Some of them are working fine for municipalities.
Wow, why there are 18,000 around the country is because those were the different Irish paddy rollers that were rolling around, the slave patrols that were going around and collecting slaves, capturing slaves and bringing them back to the plantations, dead or alive. And so long as we're under an Irish paddy roller system of policing, we will always see this. So when they talk about police reform and taking away a certain chokehold, or taking away choking with the baton, or taking away choking with the knee.
Those individuals, department.
No, because they're no, they're not individual because they're all being trained by the Israeli police right now. All of the police force. No, because this is too serious. No, wait. This is too serious to debate over and talk over, right? So let's just go through this. Let me bring my volume down just a little bit so we don't peak here. Okay, so let's look at this. Where did South Africa and Germany learn their segregation or apartheid systems? They learned them from the United States. South Africa came over here and learned the apartheid system from the United States. The Germans, before the Nazi Party took over, they came over and went over and practiced it on the Tasmanians, cousins to the Aborigines of Australia, before they started with the Jewish people, right? So the Jewish people now, the Jewish over in Israel, they practice what was done to them, and people go over there and train in Israel to come back and do these tactics. I've seen different police officers in different cities use the knee on different so-called quote-unquote suspects. They're being trained by Israeli police. And what do the Israeli police do but put down the Palestinians? So this is what this is about. And where is the root cause come from? It's like a pinball machine, or just pinballing the ball all over, but it's still coming back to the root. The root is being trained new techniques from Israel, who got it from Germany that oppressed them, but Germany got it from the United States, and the South African government got it from the United States. So when we see these different autonomous organizations that stand alone, but they have the same chokeholds, they have the same knee compressions on the neck, they're being trained by the Israeli police.
Now, if the people of these municipalities allow that to go on, then the onus is on them, because they're going to face the liability. And as I said to you before, I sat on a municipality police commission not too far from Ferguson, and didn't know Israelis coming in and tell us anything about how those police officers were going to be trained. And when we set the policy, we told them how to interact and what not to do. An example, you don't engage in high-speed chases. Now, there's another municipality just west of there called St. Anne. If you run through St. Anne speeding, they don't care if you drive all the way to Israel. They're going to chase you down. But other municipalities don't do that. So that's how it works. That's where the change occurred.
Okay.
Do you agree?
I wouldn't agree, because there's been many times that people talk about police reform. It has to be torn down from its root. The existence of the history and the legacy of Irish people coming over during the potato famine and becoming paddy rollers using the systems. They used to call them paddy rollers because they used to have paddy wagons. They're the ones who brought the paddy wagons over from Ireland, and they used their techniques on capturing slaves. It has to be torn down. All the coat of arms, all the Irish stuff has to be torn away, just like how they tried to blow the noses off of the Egyptians. All of that has to be torn away, ripped from top to bottom. All these 18,000 autonomous organizations that came about because of slavery and trying to capture slaves to bring them back dead or alive. All that has to be wiped away as if it never existed.
Who's going to tear them down?
Well, the people have to know where it comes from. Once they know where it comes from, then it will be a push to do so. But most people don't even know when they're on the news talking about police reform. You can't reform something that was based on evil in the very beginning. You can't reform it. You have to destroy it.
If you have all these municipalities, just hang with me just a little bit here. Hang with me a little bit here. If you got all these municipalities that are operated based on the state that they exist in, they're allowed to exist, and it's the elected board that puts them in place, and they assign commissioners to rule over them. They set policy, rules, and so forth. Who's going to tear all these things down? These people are acting on their own, and that's the way they want it.
And that's exactly what I'm saying.
Municipalities like Pine Line,
that's
you know another thing real quick. They had an incident where municipalities like Jennings and Wellston, and I think another one, they dissolved their police department. The municipality got rid of all the police. Then they came together and formed what was called a North County Cooperative. And what they did was this North County Cooperative provides service for those three municipalities, and maybe more now because some other municipalities might have joined in. But they fired their own police department. You can look it up on Google. Wellston fires police department. Jennings, Missouri, where Derek Wilson came from, fires their police department. So they did do that, but they did it because they wanted to, not somebody telling them to do it.
Okay. Well, that's because of the fact that, I don't know the facts why they did it, but the reason that is something that needs to go through all these 18,000 autonomous organizations. It has to go through. People have to push to know what the truth is, and anything that's based on evil. What can you agree with me that slavery was an evil?
Well, slavery,
It's slavery. No. It's slavery.
You don't let me finish.
I mean, you said you don't.
Let me finish.
Go ahead.
You got to let me finish.
Okay, go ahead.
And I say this, I don't like to talk about it because all sides are not taught.
Okay, but
they have all the information.
Well, I mean, I know the Igbo were slave traders. Okay, fine. That's Africa. And then the different people. I just asked, is slavery an evil? Yes or no?
It depends on how it's applied. In Ghana, they had over 42 slaves.
Okay, we're talking about
21 on the coast and 17 on the interior. I don't really like to talk about that.
No, we're talking about the transatlantic slave trade that brought people across and brought them into the Americas, right? The Americans, the transatlantic slave trade, the slavery in America, is it a evil thing or not?
Well, it depends, because it was going on in Africa and it wasn't evil. It might have been a punishment.
Actually, there's an article my great grandfather was a Nigerian slave trader. In her writing, she says that when the slave master died, the slaves were buried alive with them.
You got that right.
Okay, so
absolutely right.
So
my
that
wife is A-way.
My
wife is A-way, so I know it very well. Okay,
so then that is evil. Because which one would be?
That's their tradition.
No. Okay. If it's tradition or not, which one's worse, to be buried alive and in your legacy, or be chattel and be passed down from generation to generation, where you still have
there was chattel going on too. And I can't in 2020. And let's be realistic with this. We can in 2020 look back 200 or 300 or 400 years and judge what was going on then, just like we can't look into the future and hope that things are going on this way. You only can deal with where you are today. How you gonna go back in time? Matter of fact, if you go back in time and think about this, you said your grandfather, I believe, or whoever. If you go back in time and change things, you may just disappear.
Okay, all I asked is slavery. I just gave an example. To me, burying people alive, I don't care about tradition, is evil by my morals and by a lot of people's morals. Having people in slavery is evil. All I asked was to keep this conversation robust and going. Is slavery evil?
It may have been, in some cases, it may not. You ever heard of
Okay, wait. So you said yes. You said yes. You said in some cases it is, some cases no. So let's go. So let's go
I
to.
live in 2020. I can't tell you about what the parameters were back then.
We can't.
Hell, is cutting people's hands off evil?
Yes, I would say so.
Well, if you caught stealing, they cut your hands off.
But that would still be evil, because that would be an eye for an eye, and we're not supposed to be in an eye for an eye today now, right?
No, that's not true.
We're not supposed to be in an eye for an eye right now, right? I mean, we're supposed to. I mean, I'm just saying we're in the New Testament, not the Old Testament.
We're not arguing, are we?
No, we're not. I'm having fun with this because you're not answering my question, so we can keep the conversation flowing. You're not answering. I know, because you don't want to.
It is. I'm gonna say it like this. I'm gonna answer the question. It is what it is.
Okay, so it is what it is. Okay, so let's stay with that. It is what it is. So the slave patrols that were patty rollers that turned into the different police departments around the United States of America, who trained not only South Africa but trained Germany, and then it turns back around and the Israelis train them now after the Germans did what they did to them, learning from America. Those people who were, it is what it is, and it was evil, and that's it. So we're going to move on because we have a whole presentation to go. So I like to thank you. I like to thank you for calling in. Okay, let's move on, people, because what we need to do is move through. If slavery is not evil, then I don't know what's going on. So let's continue on. So why are people out there protesting? We're going to get through that, right? But this is too much to, like, I usually, are humored by that, but we're trying to get through this, and we're trying to get the information out there to the people. And usually I'm with that, and I'll take that. But this is too serious a situation, because if it's not rectified in this generation, it's only going to get worse. And those who are older, they have less time on the planet than those who have to be subject to this. And if they didn't do it then, if they didn't correct it then, I often say, well, it was you in the civil rights movement. Why why crack got here? Because you let heroin be in your time. And you didn't, and instead of fighting against those who brought the crack in, you put it on your own people, on your own offspring, on your own next generations of people, and you put them in prison. That's that generation. So we don't have time to play around with it and talk about it. It's cool. You know what I'm saying? I don't argue. I just ask questions. But if I can't get if I get a filibuster or I get a stone wall instead of the questions being answered, then that's, to me, my opinion, is disingenuous. So
because if we don't take care of this now, whether we are here on this earth or not, our children, right? Our children's children, our great-grandchildren, great-great-great-great-grandchildren are going to have to deal with a legacy left behind because those of us did not do what we were supposed to do. We have to fight. Like everyone else is just, let's say, okay, white Americans, right? People say, we're going to get justice. We do what we're, Black Americans, we do what we're supposed to. Okay, so you go to the police department and you talk, you talk to the police. You let them know that such and such is going on, Trayvon Martin, let's say, right? So his parents did what they were supposed to, right? So they let the judicial system
handle it,
right? But look at how it turned out, right? But then look at how the judicial system serves justice to most wealthy white Americans, right?
Or they don't have to be wealthy. They can wrestle with cops.
Oh yeah, because the one that was on everyone's all over social media was not a wealthy white guy. He just had that white skin. He had that white privilege.
Wrestling with cops.
Right.
And plenty of videos.
So I mean, but see, the thing is my issue is white people do a great job. All what's the term? They all kind of like carry the same like a torch. They'll hang in there together, right? Yeah. They get on the same page together when it's time. They don't have to know each other, but they will get in line when it's time, right? A united front, right? Black people need to do that. This right here is serious. We don't need a debate.
I don't need a debate. So let's continue on with this right here. So, we're going to get into this because there are certain things going on because these are supposed to be peaceful protests, but there are certain groups that are infiltrating, and we talked about them before.
Right.
And is this a case of acceleration-ism by white nationalists? So let's continue with this, people.
Looks like the police station is now has caught fire. Ryan, it's a brick building. It's got two parts to it. The part we were standing in front of was the older part of the precinct. There's a modern sort of an addition to it over here, and there are flames coming out of it. The 3rd Precinct Minneapolis Police Station is now on fire, Brian.
Right here. I said, what are you drawing? And you can tell what he's...
Now, this is Cleveland, Ohio, people. This is where we're from. So, the realism that you're going to hear here, and we have a few clips from Cleveland, Ohio, but the mentality and the direction and the push for social justice is strong. Cleveland now, Carl Stokes, first black mayor of a major city, Cleveland, Ohio. All of that is running through the blood. We have the person who was within Carl Stokes' cabinet that said, "You are my color and not my kind." I mean, it really moves through our sensibility here. So watch this. And this is happening down at the Justice Center, right? And listen to how this unfolds here. This is Cleveland, Ohio.
And he said, I don't want people to do that. People shouldn't do that. He's 6 years old. And he's comprehending this. And he's 6.
Being there, not doing anything, and they started pushing back, spraying stuff and throwing stuff at us.
Spraying pepper spray, shooting tear gas on the floor at the people who were kneeling.
There was rubber bullets that they were shooting.
They threw bombs, smoke bombs.
These are all people of the community. We should not be subject by the same people we pay salaries to mistreat us in our community just because we want to come protest.
And I want to show you what it looks like behind me now here.
at the Justice Center. You just heard it there, more tear gas going off. It is getting harder to breathe. That's why we're back here a few blocks up. You know, a lot of people are coming back complaining of their eyes, they're coughing. Something else that we thought was very interesting earlier, and we'll have more on that for you online, inmates in the Cuyahoga County Jail were banging while protesters cheered, "We hear you" and "Black Lives Matter," and you could hear the inmates banging from inside their cells in the Cuyahoga County Jail.
You see, people, there is a connection. This is why the people were down there protesting in front of the justice, or should we say the injustice system. See, what it breathes in my wife and I, you know, like we told you last week, 30 years apiece, collectively 60 years in the game of disseminating information, being on there on the front line and doing that. But at a certain time, you realize, you say the young people have to be out there, but the young people have to be armed with the information so they won't make the same mistakes again. Someone that is older, that is not telling you giving you the information, feeding you the information so you won't make the same mistakes again, is a problem in the black community. They are a problem.
The Jewish community, they pass on, you know, to each generation. Never forget. You know, so this is serious. It's not a game. Like, we interact with the youth, right? So how many years? 15 years in retail, dealing with all people. But there's a special place in my heart for young people. These teenagers right here, the teenagers that some of these older black people cross the street when they walk past, well, those are the ones I'm comfortable with because I talk to them. They're the same age as my nieces and nephews and my cousins and my godchildren. You know, I love these kids. So this is not the time to play. You know, we need to be on the same page.
On the same page.
You know, so right now is the time to come up with solutions and identifying the problems. Right? So we've identified the problems. Right? Number one. So number two, it's time to come up with solutions.
Right.
It's time to come up with solutions.
Right. So listen to this. I had to rewind back because this guy right here really lays out the thought process in Cleveland, Ohio in particular.
These are all people of the community. We should not be subject by the same people we pay salaries to mistreat us in our community just because we want to come protest.
And I want to show you.
And see, this is where it's very important to know why these people, you're paying taxes, which pays their salary.
Right, no matter where you are.
And it's very important that you know where their tactics originally came from. Right? Why they act the way they do. Why Caucasian person can do the same thing that a black person do it, get away with it, or they may get into a scuffle, but they're arrested, but the black body lies there dead because the patty roller was dead or alive, and because
the foundation is the same. They may be in different cities or different across the different countries. It seems to be people are protesting all over the world. You know, I mean, dealing with the same situation, but here in America, specifically right now, the foundation is the same across America. So, no, the foundation is the same. It needs to be restructured. All of this reform and all this other stuff, everyone needs to have the same policy and procedures across the board. As far as having board members, there should be not the term diversity, but multicultural. And I believe the people in each community should be a part of selecting the police, selecting the programs that they're gonna have, police your own community. Each community, each municipality may be different, right?
See, it's no way. First of all that Irish folklore and all the Irish coat of arms and all the Irish, that needs to be stripped from all the police departments. It just needs to be stripped away. Right? It needs to be stripped away because it was based on something that was evil, and it's still the vestiges today. Because no matter what, it doesn't matter what police department you go to, it's a harsher treatment done to black bodies, which means that they are under the patty roller system.
Remember, we saw on CNN a black police commissioner retired. What did he say? He said all of the policemen all across the board are all taught the same way. They all are taught to have the same mind state. This is a black former police commissioner. Wasn't a New York City.
And he says that what if it were more black police officers? He said he has seen black police officers do some heinous things to their own people because they are trained to be the patty roller.
That's what he said. He said the training is the same across the board. It doesn't matter if it's a black police officer, white, Latino, Asian. He said the problem, it's the same training.
Right.
And then this is again a former black police commissioner.
So I'm glad that Pataki called up. Pataki.
Yeah.
Called up.
I'm glad he called up because it's good to throw out ideas.
No, it's good to throw out ideas, but it got to get us pumped. What are people out there protesting for? That was the initial question from Mr. P. So let's go through it. For justice for George Floyd, which is arrest of the officers, indictment of the officers, conviction of the officers, imprisonment of the officers. That's what they are protesting for initially. But what else should people be protesting for? Let's continue on here.
Inside their cells in the Cuyahoga County Jail.
Yep. We've got one person being arrested here. We've got... We're immediate? Yep, we're good. I'm sorry? You're under arrest. Okay. Do you mind telling me why I'm under arrest, sir? Why am I under arrest, sir? Officer's moving CNN and he's on the air right now.
Okay.
We want to say what's up to all the family that's out there watching us right now. Here's a perfect example of why this is under the patty roller system. Here's a CNN reporter. He has a Latino name, but they didn't just step up on him and arrest him because he was a Latino, because there was a Latino reporter that was maybe a block away and there were police over there and they never arrested them. You understand what I'm saying? So what this is a perfect example of the mistreatment that is handed down, and people have to understand why the mistreatment is being handed down.
In just about every city.
I mean, every precinct.
In every state.
I'm doing E40 now, precinct. Every precinct across America, right? Because they are under the patty roller system. And I said all that coat of arms and all that Irish folklore and the patty whack, all that has to be discarded because it has been exported across the globe into other markets and then re-imported under Israeli police training. And you know what the Israeli police do to the Palestinians? They put them down. Right?
Didn't Eric, what's his name? Eric Garner?
Garner.
Yeah, wasn't he President Obama's? Was he the Attorney General?
Yeah, you're talking about Eric Holder.
Yes, Eric Holder, right. Mm-hmm. Do you remember during in Ferguson, correct? Mm-hmm. And then the FBI, they did an investigation into the Ferguson Police Department.
Yes.
And I do not only just in Ferguson, but when there was an investigation of all of the different police departments across the United States. And they found that there was a high number of infiltration by white supremacists in all the departments, right? And so what do you expect when that is the situation?
Right.
My thing is, when they did this investigation, right, isn't there like a code of conduct? So once this was found out, why didn't they relieve all of those police officers?
Well, remember Eric Holder stepped down, and then what was that woman's name? Who was on the plane with Clinton for about 3 hours? Yeah, her, right?
Yeah.
And it just, when she came in, it just bounced around, and then once Attorney Barr got in.
That goes back to what Mr. P was saying, right? So once we're going to put Eric Holder aside, right? But once we found out each of the different cities, right? Mm-hmm. Once they learned and received the report in the list of all of the white supremacists in their police department, it was for that community to make sure that those people were relieved of their duties.
But see, that's where we get to people don't care. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay. Because out there in this, we're going to go on, but out there in this, and we're going to get to this, out there protesting right now, quote unquote protesting, are honest whites who want to see Black Lives Matter. Then you have the anarchist whites. Okay. You have the nationalist whites. Okay. You have the Aryan whites. Okay. And then you have the bigot and indifferent whites, right? That are out there just having a good time, partying with it, right? And we're gonna go through all that. But see, this is what you have within government, right? And when you know that the system that the police department is based on is based on racism, right? Then you
based on a paper trail. We have a paper trail of this,
right? Mm-hmm. And I swear, man, this phone right here is your friend if you really use it. We had to go to the Dewey Decimal System in the library, go through microfiche, looking at the different things, right? Right. And it's really, really crazy the way that it is, right? Right. So look, let's continue with this. So here he is. He's arrested. Now he showed his credentials. He showed his papers. Did his papers matter? Do papers matter? Did papers matter in South Africa? No. You have to look at what you're doing. See, being rich is not going to help you. No. Acting a certain way, talking proper is not going to help you. No. This is a patty roller state. Let's continue.
You are arresting him live on CNN. We told you before that we are with CNN.
You were doing your job by the book. You presented your credentials. You told them that you were a journalist. You told them that you were with CNN. You told them you were live on the air. I mean, you did them the courtesy of explaining that we were live on the air at that moment. And I'm just wondering, after you and your crew were arrested, at what point did they ever say, sorry, that was a mistake?
To answer your question, there was no sort of, sorry, this is a big misunderstanding, blah, blah, blah.
We need justice for George Floyd. We all witnessed his murder in broad daylight. We're broken and we're disgusted. We cannot normalize this pain. And I'm not only speaking to people of color. If you're white, black, brown, or anything in between, I'm sure you feel hopeless by the racism going on in America right now. No more senseless killings of human beings. No more seeing people of color as less than human. We can no longer look away. George is all of our family in humanity. He's our family because he's a fellow American.
I could have typed this out, but I wanted you to see my face when I say this.
Now this is a Clevelander. He goes by the name of MGK, Machine Gun Kelly. Now, Beyonce opens up the discussion so well that It has to be a concerted effort by those who could call themselves Americans.
Right.
Racism ends
Right.
when white people activate
Right.
and voice against it and fight against it.
Right.
Black people have, for decades,
Okay.
for centuries, laid out the facts. And when Trump was elected, what did we say on the show? We said that it will be the decision of white people in America. The so-called good white people in America are going to have to go to battle with the people who still believe in bigotry, racism, segregation, and the patty roller system. And we said that. So this is Machine Gun Kelly, and Machine Gun Kelly, let's just say he lays down the gauntlet.
If you look like me, if you have racism in your heart and on your mind and coming out your mouth, fuck you. I'm ashamed of you. If you enjoy my music or you like my movies, I don't want you watching. I don't want your business. Fuck you. I don't want nothing that's a part of the evil agenda, and that's not what our generation's legacy is going to be. So I'm drawing a line, and I'm asking, step up and speak out for our fellow people going through all this hell right now, and encourage good, you know? Like, let our kids grow up in a world where they're not scared to leave their fucking house or their cars or be running down the street. Like, evil is running the show, man. Take it back from them. Fuck these motherfuckers.
Okay.
Exactly.
Now,
Exactly.
what are the demands? We talked about what should be demanded as far as George Floyd.
Right.
Okay. They're already trying to say that George Floyd suffered from hypertension, high blood pressure, and other things that caused him to die.
Exacerbated by what?
Listen, but let me finish the point. Then you come in with that. There are people who live to be 103, 113 years old that have high blood pressure.
Right.
They got the diabetes.
Right.
They got this. They got
Right.
that. They got
Right.
this. They got this. They got this over here. They got all kinds of. They got rickets. They got this.
Right.
Shingles. And they still live. But when you
exacerbate, or in layman's term, when you something that's a chronic condition, right?
Mm-hmm.
It can turn into an acute condition when there is extreme trauma.
Extreme trauma.
Right.
So when someone induces that to cause death, this is what that police officer did.
Yeah.
Because there are people who live on with that. That wouldn't be common sense. So for all those white folks, like MGK said, that live under bigoted and racist thought, you're taking high blood pressure pills, you're taking sugar pills, you've got all kinds of diseases, you got Crohn's disease, you've got all these different ailments, and you live a pretty carefree life. You don't have to worry about anything. Take the reporter that was arrested, right? He was pretty calm, but on his insides, having to remain calm and not being able to voice, and then being patted on the head for being good, but on his insides, are inflaming because of the stress and the pressure, which will cause him to have ailments because he wasn't able to eradicate and rectify the situation right then in the way that should have been able to be done. Oh yeah, also, not only should the we talked about this before, not only should it be stripped of all the folklore and the arm and the coat of arms and all that of the Irish, but the civil servant status should be taken away from police officers. So it's just a job.
Yeah.
That will even the playing field out.
Yeah.
And then people, I'm telling you, people start running for the hills. They say, well, we can't do what we usually do.
Right.
So what are the
They'll
demands?
rethink knocking somebody, an innocent person, upside their head.
Because that person will be able to, because the law is different of touching a civil servant, because they won't be civil servants anymore.
They'll rethink choking somebody out if they know they have to do time.
So what
murdering an innocent person, busting in on someone who's sitting on their couch enjoying ice cream, busted in an apartment. The police officer. That's a totally different story. I was thinking about
she was asleep. She was asleep in the bed.
No, I was talking about the young man in Texas. Right? Okay. When the policewoman said that she thought she was going into her apartment. He's sitting in his apartment, enjoying relaxing, eating ice cream. She busts in and shoot him.
You see how similar this is?
So but you were talking about, I know who you're talking about, the young lady who was at her mom's house because her mom was in the hospital and she was there to help take care of her nephew, and the police officers busted in and killed her. Another innocent person. But then fast forwarded to Breonna Taylor, who's at home sleeping in the middle of the night. They bust in on her and shoot her while she's in her bed sleeping. This is the pattern.
It's a pattern. And then how often, see, we have to go back and trace, because what's in people's blood is in their ancestry.
Right.
So you have to look at these people. They're in training.
Right.
How many of them come from that bloodline of the Irish?
Right.
How many of them are just trained in the Irish way?
Right.
Right?
Right.
How many of them are trained in the Irish way and it's just in their blood, and this has happened before?
Right.
Someone down in their ancestry. Let's continue. What are the demands that American blacks need to ask for, right, during this time? We talked about George Floyd, arrest of officers, indictment of officers, conviction of officers, imprisonment of officers.
Exactly.
Demands that demands to America.
Right.
The government, federal, state, and local. Right. The demolition of the petty roller structure in police. It just has to be wiped away. It's been in existence since 1704 when it was first began in South Carolina. Right. Not only did they patrol the roads, but they also patrolled the shipping ports, because they looked for runaway slaves who might board ships to cross over to the Ohio River.
Right.
All right?
Right.
To steal away.
Right.
Right? So we're looking to demolish something that's been in existence since 1704. All you have to do is just Google, people, and you will see what the similarities are.
Oh, you mean the slave master mentality?
No, they are the patty roller mentality, because they were poor and they.
But who put them out there? Is it like the?
No. But they were bound. There was a bounty put out there, and they went out there and did it. But what I'm saying, it's not a slave master mentality, because the slave master was rich. Right? There's levels of whiteness, and these people were trying to gain their citizenship. So that's when you see it's in their blood, because they're not necessarily the most educated, right? Because we've talked about that. Police should have.
That's part of should be on the list. We talked about.
But the police should at least have an associate's degree.
Yeah.
They should at least have an associate's degree to be a police officer. Yeah. But they're in there, so
that should be a prerequisite, a requirement.
And how you know it's patty roller mentality is they look at the rich, black man, and they're jealous of the rich black man, and they try to hassle the rich black man to put him in jail. Remember the hip hop police, the hip hop cops. Let's continue.
You know what? Just one more thing. I earlier looked at the requirements, to be a police officer, and I looked at all the different areas that they study for the police exam. What they definitely need to add, and it's not on the exam, Right. So you did mention at least a 2-year degree, right?
Mm-hmm.
But see, what needs to be added is sociology as well as psychology, because then they're dealing with the public,
and it's also dealing with what makes them tick. What's in their makeup.
To know and it'll help them learn as well. Because one thing we talked about, that when you have to do research on any subject, it helps with critical thinking skills, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then when you have to learn about other cultures and other people, right?
Mm-hmm.
That does help you as a human being become well-rounded, right?
Right.
So they really, really need to look at that. And but anyway, go ahead.
Right. When the neighborhood shifted from being majority Caucasian, let's say it's majority Polish, and the Polish people move and the black people move in, it should be those officers should move to those suburbs, and black officers should come in. Black officers for black neighborhoods, white officers for white
neighborhoods,
your area Asians for Asian neighborhoods, Arab cops for Arab neighborhoods, etc., etc. Because of the fact that will be able to settle it when that population shifts.
Right.
The new population that comes in should not be under the control or under the observation by those that don't look like them.
Right.
Or if that's such a stretch, well, then let's put a whole bunch of black police officers in majority Caucasian neighborhoods.
Oh, they're not going to have that.
Let's do that. If it's not an issue, if it's something they say that sounds ridiculous, having black for black, let's just put a whole bunch of, like how there's a whole bunch of white officers in the black neighborhoods patrolling. Let's have a whole bunch of black officers in predominantly white neighborhoods. Let's see how long that lasts. Right? Okay, people. Reparations. Right? Paid to those whose ancestors were enslaved. Reparations. While you're handing out $1,200 checks, right? I just came from off of a discussion with a group. They were a Pan-African group. And the one guy came out and said that he doesn't think that he's black now, and he doesn't think that black people should have reparations in money form because they won't know how to do with it. And I said, well, you know, this is a capitalist society, and it's based on what you purchase. So if a majority of the black people who got part of that 17 trillion plus money for reparations, put it back into the economy would be revving, and others who knew more about business will open up businesses, and they will begin to employ and build a black base and catch up. It would take us about maybe 10 years to catch all this up if the playing field was corrected, if the reparations, but it would take about 10 years.
Right.
And then we would, like I said, we would have to eliminate the racist mind state that always sends people in to destroy people when they are downtrodden and low because they are not working their hands properly, to be successful. But we would be successful. It would take about 10 years, right? So reparations paid to those who were descendants of slaves, right? Jobs first for American blacks before any kind of immigrant, right? See, the Democrat Party talks immigrants and talks so much immigrants to illegal immigrations where they give them a EIN number, which allows them then to get a driver's license, to buy a house, register to vote, and these are illegal immigrants. So much, and then where are the jobs for you? We are the ones who were faithful. We were the ones who voted for you. We were the ones, and this is how you treat us. by bringing every immigrant group in above us. Did you listen to the hearings about Ukraine? All right, those are supposed to be black people speaking Ukrainian or whatever their language is, right? We should be there speaking and being the face of the United States, not them bringing in first and second generation Ukrainians and giving them high level and letting them work themselves up at high level of military and then being ambassadors for the United States. Those are supposed to be black people's jobs.
Yeah.
Not fresh immigrants. Get in line. Right? If you are a black person and you care more about immigrants than you care about your own people, something's wrong. I won't do any labels, but something's wrong. So let's go on now. Now we're going to get into the different type of white folks that are out there on this protest situation. Let's go through this.
I don't want to hear nothing about my people. You just saw what just happened.
Now look, he was spray painting and defacing property, right? And the woman filmed him doing it, and then she had her commentary afterwards, right? So watch this now, right? Because the media is not covering this. The reason why the media is not, remember, go back to YouTube and search the different when the Ferguson situation happened, and listen to how the media was covering it when the police were coming out in full force, dropping I forget what they call those. Stunners. I'm just going to call them stunners. Dropping stunners, dropping tear gas and rubber bullets. Go back and listen to that and listen to how they cover this, because your eyes don't lie to you. It is majority white folks out there doing all of the damage. Your eyes don't lie to you, so thus they could not report it as it was just a black thing, which goes back to the racism of the different stations that you're watching.
My nigga, cover up your face, man.
Now, as this gets closer in, you're gonna see that these are white teenagers doing this. Do you remember the Boston Tea Party? In the Boston Tea Party, the colonials, to get at Britain, they basically dressed in blackface to try to look like Indians, because the Indians weren't the same anyway. But they dressed in blackface and they dressed with feathers to look like Indians so they could drop the tea into the Tea Party. Things don't change, people. Things remain the same. Right here, she's saying stop, because this is supposed to be a peaceful protest now, people. A few weeks ago, we talked about on episode 105, 10 episodes ago, we talked about in depth, I might add, about the pandemic, right? And we talked about what they call accelerationism. So you have to go back there and watch episode 105. 10 episodes back, it's called episode 105, COVID-19 Pandemic. We take your calls, 12 Monkeys movie review, right? That's just when the pandemic was really kicking off and we were reviewing films. But we talked about the spread of the COVID virus and how the different white nationalist groups were using the virus. If they got sick, they would go and spread it on things, or cough, or spit, or leave stuff. So how many white nationalists are out there right now spreading the COVID while all this is going on? All right? How many are out there where people are out there and they think they're so happy to be alongside white folks that are fighting the power? How many of them are actually not only doing stuff like this, one group, but other groups are spreading the COVID virus, and how much of that is going to really kick up even more? Let's keep watching. There used to be a rap group that Russell Simmons was producing on Def Jam called Young Black Teenagers. And it was 5 white guys, you know, that he was trying to recapture his success that he had with the Beastie Boys. But he called it the Young Black Teenagers, right? It was 5 black guys, and they were dressed in jeans, t-shirts, sweat jackets, all that. You can go look that up. The Young Black Teenagers, right? Russell Simmons, right? So look at how these guys are dressed, and then from a distance, who would you think was doing this?
We cannot turn a blind eye. It is on us as leaders to see this for what it is and call it what it is. George Floyd deserves justice. His family deserves justice. The black community deserves justice. And our city does.
Did you see what was happening there, people, if you pay attention? This is another angle from the store's security cam. They put him in the back of the police ATV, all right, and they were beating his from both sides. They were beating his butt from both sides, and he, to get away from the cop that's on the view that you can see, jumped out the other side of the vehicle, and that's how he got down the ground. But they were beating him in the back of the truck. That is dirty.
Yeah, that's heinous. And you know what? I don't even have to be in that situation, right, to be upset, right? I mean, because it doesn't matter, like, what country you're in, what city you're in, what state you're in. I'll give you an example, right? Just because I walked out the house one day, right? And everything was all good for me one day. And I walked past the police officer and he said, "Good morning," right? And I said, "Good morning," and I go about my business, right? But my sister or brother called me, right? And they didn't have a bad day with a bad police officer, right? I tell you what, they need me, I'm there. It's not about personal experience. What your personal experience is with a police officer.
Right.
It's about how your people are being treated.
That's right.
I don't care if you're in a different city. I don't care if you're in a different state. My job is to have your back.
That's it.
And we're supposed to be in it together.
So,
right? So, I mean, we need to get on the same page.
They were beating his butt in the back of the SUV.
That's horrible. I can feel that. I'm upset by that. I'm not detached from that. That's not right. Those police officers should not get off. They should all be arrested. Not just the one who had his knee on his neck. They should all be arrested because they all took part. We've all seen the videotape when they held the police down, and then the other police officer who stopped the people who were standing around. He stopped them
from coming forward
to intervene. Because there were people who wanted to intervene, who attempted to intervene. So that's when the one cop, I don't remember his name, but that's when the Asian police officer, didn't he put a gun or something on people? He stopped them from intervening. Like, it's just like, we are all George Floyd.
That's right. Watch this again, people. Watch this again. We got some comments from people here.
to see this for what it is and call it what it is.
Look at this again.
George Floyd deserves justice. His family.
You see the car, the back of the door is moving because they were beating his butt in the back of the SUV.
They were beating this. They were jumping this man.
They were jumping him. Who else does that but patty rollers?
There's no excuse for this.
Dead or alive.
No excuse for this.
Because, insurance, because, slave masters held insurance on their slaves. And, just in case they had to do it. They didn't have anything to do with anything. They ran away.
Right.
They could collect, and it could have been more for the slave dead or alive.
Deserves
right?
justice. The black community deserves justice. And our city.
So you see, he just jumped. Now he's cuffed. Right? What are they doing to him?
Beating on him.
Why are they beating on him? And his hands are behind his back, cuffed. He jumps out not to take the beating anymore, and he falls down. And then the guy applies pressure to his neck. If somebody is beating you, people, and you are in compliance, but they're just doing what they're doing,
right?
What do you call that?
Assault.
And what else would you call that? Would you call that resisting arrest when they're the ones that are beating your ass?
No, there's no. You know what? Let me really fast because my phone went off. So I'm glad we have this. Okay, so Orshay Jose, hey, okay, hey auntie, hey, let's see. Hey Larry Patterson, and let's see, read some of the comments. Orshay Jose says that's true. They see another black man, we need to be out there voting. O'Shea says she agrees that they harass black people all together. O'Shea said, I work in public, and if we do anything to any person, we lose our jobs right away and go to jail. That's true. That's true. Oh, hey, Auntie Lynn. Yep, and Larry says, our kids.
Our kids, that's right.
So,
so you see people, they're beating this guy in the back of the vehicle. This is right there. What are they gonna say? They were having they were doing a waltz with him in the back. They were doing a cucaracha. They was doing a cha-cha with him in the back. How are they gonna explain that? He's got his hands cuffed behind his back. How are the lawyers going to explain that? Of course they're gonna come up with some he was resisting arrest. No, you were beating him in the back of the truck with his hands behind his back, and to get away from your blows, he jumped out on the other side, and then you put his neck on there because you thought that the damn nigger should have complied in your mind. But he had complied because the earlier tape, when they picked him up and cuffed him, he wasn't resisting. He went along with it. They got him in there. They started beating him. And then you put your knee on his neck for 8-9 minutes.
This is a disgrace, and America should be embarrassed by this. Because if they don't straighten this out, right, and if all of these police officers, if they are not convicted, I'm not talking about just throw them in jail and then they're freed after the trial. No, they need to be convicted. They need to be doing time, because if they don't, this is the face of America.
They be doing
This is the face of America.
They be doing time in state prison.
This is supposed to be the land of the free. Do you want this to be the face of America? Because this is happening too damn much.
I'm not even trying to rationalize with them.
No, I'm not rationalizing with them. I'm just letting them know. Stop playing games. Stop playing games. Stop saying the land of the free.
Home of the brave.
Home of the brave, because that is not the case.
That is very cowardly.
That is not the case. That's very cowardly, and it's happening often. Very often. We just happen to have social media. But this has been going on forever.
We talk about you. All you do is go watch Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence Horn film Life. They were telling you what it was.
Exactly.
They had to find a way.
Exactly.
They had to find a way to put black people back into slavery because black people were the economy of America.
Right.
He tramples her with the horse. She's walking up there, unassuming. The horses are coming around the one way. He comes in and tramples the girl with his horse. What does that look like? That looks like the overseers on their horse. Let's keep going. These are examples within the protest of why there is a protest.
Right.
Because people can't, when people are used to being the way that they are, they cannot mask the way that they are.
Right.
Even in the moments when they most need to, they show who they truly are. And these are examples of why there is a need for not only so-called police reform, but a tear down of the whole system. You need to throw all that Irish folklore out, all those coat of arms, everything out, the patty roller system out, and start again with a system for just us.
Right.
Here we go. Check this out, people. Now, I had to see the other view, right? Because someone was standing on top of a building and caught this from another view, another vantage point, right? So from that vantage point, you don't really see what the second SUV that pulls in, what it does, right? But I can tell the person in the first SUV that was sitting there has no real intelligence to think for him or herself. I don't know who was driving. I'm sure Mayor de Blasio will figure all that out. But whoever that was didn't have sense enough to think for themselves. Watch this from the other angle now. On the news, the person said maybe the person lost their temper from the other angle, right? But watch what happens when you see it from the reverse angle, low angle, God shot, reverse angle.
That was evil.
Now you see,
that was evil.
The second SUV that comes up, the police cruiser vehicle,
he follows suit.
He comes through and he begins to automatically ram the kid, and then the other one just didn't have mind of his own.
Right.
Decided to ram the people into the barricade. Now look, people, you know, no matter how strong that we say we are, human beings are actually really fragile beings, even though they may feel they're all right, but they will have aches and pains from that for years. You know, like when you get into, if you've ever been into car accidents, usually the small of your back will hurt you for the rest of your life. You get therapy, but you still feel it. These are things that these young people will feel for the rest of their lives. If they're in their teens or their 20s, they will feel this for the rest of their lives. I mean, this is heinous.
It's heinous.
And this is showing
there is no excuse.
No excuse. And this is showing you, and then who else would have done that but the patty roller?
This is what I gotta say to the people who are destroying things. If you really feel like you have to take an opportunity, like if you're going to be opportunistic, something is wrong with you. If you cannot stand up and fight the good fight, and you want to be a cheater and go ahead and take what we're trying to do, something is wrong with you. Because what we're trying to do is stand up for the basic rights of humanity. And that's what we're trying to do, and we're trying to do in a peaceful way. Who do not want to go through this anymore? Okay? I want to be able to go in a white neighborhood and feel safe. I want to be able, when a cop is driving behind me, I don't have to clench and be tense, okay? I want to be able just to be free and not have to think about every step I take. Because at the end of the day, Being black is a crime. At the end of the day, being born black is a crime to them. And I don't understand why. Because we're all humans.
Okay, people. We told you that there are various types of whites out there to protest. There are the honest whites that are there to fight to say Black Lives Matter, and we're tired of this racism because we are together. They are honest whites out there, but then there are anarchists, right, who are there to cause anarchy, the destabilization of the social order, the society. Anarchists, right? But then there are nationalists, who believe that America should be an ethno state where it's just all white. It's a white state. America was a white state. Oh, they built everything. Oh, they didn't. And if it was an all white state, it would surely crumble because none of the other immigrants, the immigrants that they bring over here, they can't do the job. They can't do the work, right? The people who built it, us, we can do the work, but we're not going to do it for free. And this is what this is. Let's keep going. Then there are Aryans, right, who believe that they are blonde hair, blue eye, and they come from the master race, right? Then there are bigots and indifferent whites, right, who are out there just to take pictures with burning cars. You've seen the images, right? But then there are Nazis, right, who believe in accelerationism. Accelerationism, like I said, we discussed this in episode 105. You can go back there and watch that. Accelerationism is a state in which the destruction of the society is to bring about a Nazi state. Right? To bring about a Nazi state. And this is what it is. And again, you can see that on episode 105, COVID-19 pandemic. We take your calls, 12 Monkeys movie review episode. That's episode 105 on the Film Review Life channel on YouTube. Subscribe now. We lay all that out in detail. We've been laying this out in detail. How many people are out there right now who are spreading that COVID as a bioweapon, holding on to things, and you hold on to them, or they shake your hand, or they're with you, or they say, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, blowing it. And we're so happy that white folks are around us. We still haven't learned yet, right? Some people said, the dude from Cleveland said they need to separate this. They had it. White folks over there protesting for us, and then we be over here, and then when they start kicking off and start breaking stuff, we just jet and leave. Don't get involved in it.
How about the white woman, and I'm sure many have seen her on social media, that's in the wheelchair, right? She's in a wheelchair, and she has a knife, and you see her with the knife. And she's stabbing. You know, she's stabbing the black protesters. She's stabbing the black protesters.
And they got her.
And then they took the knife from her. And then once the knife is taken away from her, she's crying and that she was abused.
No, they got her with a fire extinguisher.
Oh, it's fire extinguisher.
They got her with the fire extinguisher.
But then what did she say? Didn't she was she crying?
Yes.
Saying that she was being beat and abused by the protesters or something.
You were stabbing.
See, that's the good thing. See, they had video, and that's the good thing about these kids and with all of these video phones, and because she was crying, saying that she was victimized, but on the video you see her with the knife stabbing people, right? And then not only do you see that, you see her get up and run out of her wheelchair. She stood up, walked out the wheelchair, was running to get money because of, I don't know, she said something about the ATM or something. And she's getting up, running to grab to get money, and then she runs to sit back in the wheelchair. Meanwhile, she's rolling around with her knife stabbing black people.
Okay, look. There's no doubt in my mind that they are definitely spraying, coughing, spitting, chanting along to spread the virus, people. There's no doubt in my mind. You're sitting out there, hopefully you got a mask. There's one thing that I observed that we didn't put on film here before we keep going. But I observed this in Vegas, and I observed these two young ladies were yelling at a black cop that was standing there that was doing crowd control. And it said, "You have to do better. You have to be with us." I hate to tell the people, if you are yelling at a black police officer and that black police officer hasn't done anything to you and they're just doing their job, that's on your part, that is self-hate. Because you should be going at the white police officer, right? Always, your focus is to go at the white police officer, not the black police officer, unless the black police officer is acting in a way that is detrimental to you to get kudos or approval from white people. But and plus, if you're saying that, automatically the Irish in them, the patty roller in them, no matter what nationality they are, when you're saying that to the person that's black like you, automatically you know that these white folks don't trust black people to be down as somebody else white to destroy you. So they're looking at them side eye. And if you had read articles like back in the 90s when they talked about how undercover black cops was getting mangled and muffed up and shot by white police officers who said, "Oh, I didn't know that you were undercover. I just thought that you were just somebody that I had to muff up and beat up." So if you don't know this history, then you don't know how detrimental what you're saying is doing. But that was self-hate on your part. That was not positive. That was not pro-blackness. That was not consciousness. That was self-hate. You do not go. You go at those who have traditionally gone at you.
Because go ahead.
And if you are wrong about that white person has to show you that you were wrong about them. But until that happens, and they go to battle with their own people to eradicate racism, then that's who you go at.
So that police officer that you were talking about out here in Vegas, he was just
doing crowd control.
Doing crowd control. He didn't put his hands on
anyone. There was no movement.
Right, no movement. He was just doing his job. He wasn't out of control. He was being professional, right?
Oh.
Unlike the black officer in Baltimore.
Oh, we get into that.
Oh, is that a...
Oh, yeah, we'll get into that.
We'll get to that.
Absolutely. So let's go, people. This is in Las Vegas, shot by DJ Kelly J. This is in Las Vegas, down there by Container Park.
We know you're out here. What are you doing out here?
Protesting.
Guys, come to our shot. Come to our shot. Come to our shot. Come to our shot.
All right, what's
Watch
going on? You see police officer there spraying, or looks like something there is a confrontation.
Come to the shot. Come to the shot.
Is that
looks
a taser?
Like a taser.
Yeah, it looks like a taser. We did not see what led up to this.
Yes.
But here, clearly this young man behind the wheel has been
just to give you a little background.
They were tasing him, right? If you tase a person too long, you can affect the heartbeat.
Then you can.
This guy, it's like less than an electrocution, but it's changing your electrical system.
Yeah.
If you stay on it too long, you will mess the person up. This guy is out.
Yeah.
He's out, and then they're still yanking on him.
But they don't see him as human. That's the problem.
We were here on the scene. We turn around and we see several officers go up to the car and start breaking the glass. They flattened the tire, broke the glass to the car.
They have the sister down. She's got a skirt on. The one is holding her legs down while they put the band covers or extension covers, whatever they call that shit, right? They broke the window and just brought them out, and then they tased him. She tased him from one side, which made him put his hands on the steering wheel. Then the cop through the window, they bust the window, shoots him the other way, and he's out, man. He's out.
And I hear what I believe to be a taser.
The way that they do is they take away the manhood of the man who is not able to protect his woman. What is that? Let that sit for a minute. We have to just totally destroy and dismantle this, like they blew the noses off of the Sphinx,
right?
And chiseled the noses off the different statues, so it would no longer have a representation of being black.
Right.
Black people making it,
right?
Because we have to dismantle this Irish shit. We have to dismantle it. Take the coat of arms away, all that. We have to get rid of the paddy roll, the paddy wagon, all that. And we have to start in a system of just us.
Now all that policeman had to do was grab her arm,
was to restrain her.
Restrain her, hold her down. You didn't have to do that. That was ridiculous.
Now this guy right here, now go yell at him.
Right.
But guess what? You wouldn't though.
Right.
But this is the guy that you go yell at because of the fact that even if you watch it back, even the cop looks at him like, wow. He puts her out with all his might. He puts this woman out. The woman said, you don't have to grab on me. And she pops the man because, you know, if you study history, you find out that the Ethiopian woman, not that she's Ethiopian, but, you know, black women, for people who are Pan-African, who believe in Pan-Africanism, not so much there for me. But for those who do, but you look at the likeness of the strength of black people globally, and the Ethiopian women pushed Mussolini's army out. Go do that research with spears and rocks. Okay, so he knocks her out, right? She's already going to be subject to resisting arrest, hitting a police officer, all that. So all you had to do was just restrain the woman because she didn't look like she was turning to hit you.
No.
But that was your good. That he been good to you. Y'all probably got a good sub sandwich together. I just had to stop her. Okay, so this is the owner of the club that both George and the cop named Derek.
Whatever. His name is not important.
Right. They both worked at. Now, within the interview, she says they probably didn't meet each other, but of course they did, and probably they had laughter and everything and joked around, and this man ends up doing this to this man because, you know, they can't recognize black people, but they say we all look alike. So she could have just looked at him and said, oh yeah, that's my Cole, he's a bouncer at the club. But listen to what she says. And she cannot get away from culpability on this because she owns this club.
Let it play.
Let it play. Here we go.
Saw a different tone or different posture from him when you had African American patrons versus other races. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, ours is a predominantly Latino nightclub. With the Latino staff, the police kind of behaved in one manner. And then when we had a predominantly African or African American clientele, the way in which the entire event was treated was completely different.
And give me some details just for our viewers. So what are you talking about when you say that he treated them differently? What did he do? How did he act?
Well, really it's systemic because it started all the way from licensing and went through the third precinct, and then was an expression of also how the officers reacted when they were there. I would just kind of characterize it as skittish. So they would get very nervous very quickly and want to pull out the pepper spray.
Okay,
Okay,
after seeing her numerous interviews with this woman on multiple channels, right? Now, being an owner, right, and having had many events, right? When you have security, police officers, right? Do you or do you not give them instructions before the event?
You do, because your way is the way that they will proceed, because you are the boss, because you are the owner, and what you say goes. If you say treat them like you treat my Latino night,
right,
they will do it so. But when you say, well, you know, the blacks be acting up, so I don't want my club destroyed, so do what you have to do. She has culpability. That's why her club burned out.
She does, because she stated, I saw her on CNN, and she said that she saw the difference in how the police officer treated black patrons. She said the police officers would on, what did she say, Thursday and Sunday nights or whatever was her urban nights, right? So on her urban nights, the police officers would mace and arrest her black patrons, right? And she said on Latino nights that they didn't have the same energy. She said the police officers felt more comfortable. Okay, so if there was a fight going on Latino night, right, the fight would be broken up, whatever. But if there was a fight going on, as she called it, urban night, they would be maced and arrested, right? So if you saw the inconsistency, right, and this racist police officer, out of your mouth you said you saw the difference, and you said how harsh he was to your black clients, right? Why did you have this man working out of your establishment you paid cash to every week for years, right? You're culpable. You play a part in this. You play a part in the racist system. You're a part of it. You're not an ally because you saw the difference. You're going to tell me these people are coming and patronizing your business. As you stated, the urban community, they're patronizing your business.
That's her.
And you see these cops bullying on these young people. I'm saying young, but people of all ages. And you notice this, you're saying you see the difference. And you're not making a difference? You were okay with it. Now someone's dead. I would have been too damn embarrassed to get on TV and say that. I'd have been too damn embarrassed to get on TV to say that.
That was shame why she came on.
I'd have been too damn embarrassed to say I don't give a damn how they treated my black patrons. They bust them upside the head, sprayed mace. They treated them unfairly. But you were comfortable with it. Get out of here.
Yeah, she was comfortable.
That's an ally. Is that an ally?
No, that's not an ally.
That's an ally.
No, that's not an ally.
Give me a fucking break.
She knows she got to take the stand.
Give me a break.
Why did your club get burnt out?
Give me a break.
Now this right here, people, is a truck driving through protesters. Oh my God! Now when you see the rest of it, on the internet, you find out that the protesters run after the truck and somehow it's stopped. I guess it's stopped by the police barricade, right? And he gets out the truck and the cops go to cuff him up against the cop vehicle. Right. But then the captain comes down, and because the protesters are coming down to go after him, and he runs them off like, protect the white boy at all costs, protect them at all times. They run down, he jumps in front of them and he pulls his gun out to the black protesters and the other, because it was a mixed group of protesters, right? He pulls his gun out. What is that, people? We've been doing this pattern and talking about this pattern of what's going on, and what is that? They're protecting the white people that are doing wrong at all costs.
What the fuck? Fuck 12,
As we've begun making arrests, we have begun analyzing the data of who we've arrested and begun actually doing what you would think is almost very similar to our COVID. It's contact tracing. Who are they associated with? What platforms are they advocating for? And we have seen things like white supremacist organizers who have posted things on platforms about coming to Minnesota. We are checking to see, do the folks that we have made arrests on and that we have information, are they connected to those platforms? We have seen flyers about protests where folks have talked about they're going to get their loot on tonight. And we're checking to see, are they part of an organized criminal organization? And if so, what is that organization and how are they organized?
Sir, have you been watching what's been going on?
Now, we told you way back in episode 105 about the different racist organizations, the Aryans, the Nationalists, the Nazis, all that, right?
Right.
And there's different degrees of racism, believe it or not, right? And matter of fact, they're battling against each other because there are people who are in power who have money and those who don't want to take over power. So how much of this that you're seeing out there is accelerationism by white nationalists, Aryans,
right,
and Nazi groups? I will say that about 90% of it is. Yeah, about 90% of it is. And then you got the people who will follow after what they see,
right,
and they shouldn't follow after what they see. But then you have the 5%.
Those are the followers.
Yeah, those are the followers. And so you'll say that that's about, 4%, the followers. But then you have the 5% that realize what's going on,
right?
So this guy right here represents the 5% that realizes what's going on. So let's press this and let's continue on here. No, that's not Cleveland.
It's not that building.
Other parts of the country, and how do you feel about what's happening to other black folks in major cities?
Well, I've been watching it, and I feel bad, because first off, this country was built on the backs of black people. 400 years of slavery, 400 years of free labor. So we built this country, so we ought to be appreciated, to be honest, instead of persecuted in these streets. We can't even walk home with a bag of Skittles and an iced tea like Trayvon Martin. We can't sell loose cigarettes like, who did that? Alton Sterling?
Eric Garner.
Eric Garner, right. Eric Garner sold some loose cigarettes and he died. That's not a crime fit for the death penalty, by the way, y'all. But I feel bad. It's like it's crazy. Like we die for like nothing. It's nothing. But I was just looking on Instagram. I was just on Instagram a few minutes ago, and I saw some guy named Jerry. Jerry was a white guy, by the way. Jerry stole a police car. He wrestled with the police. He got tased. He got beat, but he didn't die. So basically, like anything you do that's against the law, or maybe not even against the law, if you're a black person, you're gonna die. But a white person can get away with anything. That's not right. Just in 2020, we got the girl, Breonna Taylor, who was asleep, and she got murdered by the police in Louisville, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Ahmaud Arbery, the guy who was just jogging in a neighborhood. I forgot what city that was in.
Georgia.
In Georgia. He got murdered for jogging in the neighborhood. And this is the third one. This is the third one, George Floyd. They said he was arrested for forgery.
Yeah.
Forgery. And he died. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the death penalty is only if you capital murder. But he was arrested for forgery. That means he had forged a check or a fake 20 or something. But he died.
Fake 20.
That's not right. Y'all got any more questions?
Turns out the 20 was real.
Right.
The 20 was real? Oh my God. The guy with the Oklahoma hat said the 20 was real, so he died for nothing.
No.
Come on, y'all.
White people, young white kids from the suburbs blew that car up. Put that on the news.
Oh, it's going.
And this man right here on this bike, he want to talk about doing wheelies and celebrating. You want a good Instagram flick. That ain't for us, bro.
They brought it,
I'm down here, man.
This is Cleveland, Ohio, right? And like I said, there's a certain pro-blackness, consciousness, awareness that goes into being from Cleveland, Ohio. And this guy lays it out simply. Cleveland, Ohio was separated. Once Carl Stokes got into office, there was a split. And there was a time when the white folks were downtown, I was talking about go back to Africa and all that. But then they just started moving out to the suburbs. And the realtor said, well, these black people are moving in and they're going to take your property value down, so you should move out to the suburbs. So when he talks about white kids coming in from the suburbs and blowing cars up, right? He's telling you a fact, right? Like when you see sporting events, right now, Cleveland, Ohio, as an inner city is 50. Back in 1991, it became 51%. It's about 55 to 57% black right now, inner city. But when you see the sports teams, they travel in an hour and 45 minutes to come in to watch the sports team, and you would think that Cleveland, Ohio, as a city was majority white when actually all the whites are out in the outskirts. So when you see cars blowing up and he's telling you what it is and how the news will cover it, because who will be left on the scene will be black people who are still trying to peacefully protest, right? But in a way, what these Aryans or anarchists or nationalists or just straight good old, not good old, because there's no good unless they're fighting their own to eradicate racism, honest white people who honestly want to see black people get their rightful place. When we start talking about reparations, we'll see how honest they'll want to be, because there's going to be a redistribution of wealth, right? But anyway, when you start seeing this, you start to see what it really is, and they come in from the suburbs and they can go back and skate back out, and we're left holding the bag, right? But in a way, it's helping, because them going in as anarchists and destroying the economic system will automatically bring the people who are in government and in corporation to their knees, and thus they will have to come to the table and talk about it. That's the way that is.
Yeah. Not why I'm down here. My name Tank.
If you're not gonna buy it up, then why you gonna burn it up?
Black or white. But you're definitely not gonna be down here white from the suburbs starting mess. Because the news gonna say we did it. It's ridiculous.
There you
ain't
go.
even organized right. This is just straight up nonsense. Nonsense, y'all.
I'd like to say first and foremost, we offer our condolences for the family, the tragedy that took place outside of our establishment. And
okay, so this is the owner of the store as we wrap up. We got 38 seconds left right now. Right, so he goes through, he gives his condolences, then he tells his story. We come from retail, we retailers, right? How often have we had people who came in who had a bad day, who came in a different way, and
Multiple times.
and we tell them, you know, you leave, and when you come back, you act better, you can come shop again. They come back in. This guy,
but that's because we love our people,
right? This guy right here, this guy, him. Over there, the Arab guy, he says that after the bill was taken, I guess he got George got the merchandise or whatever he bought, and then he left. The person said, well, this is a counterfeit bill or whatever, right? The main point is that doesn't follow. That doesn't follow because it doesn't follow because really, you have a pen and you check the money, or there's a machine that you run it through before you even give the people their merchandise, right? And so that's what it is, and that's what the problem is with that, people.
Are we able to keep going when that goes?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's because we have to finish.
Yeah, we have to finish. So look,
they
people,
need to hear him.
we're ending our broadcast on the blog talk, but we're still going on Facebook, right? Let's see if we got any new comments on Facebook while we're sitting here, right? Because we're going to go through this. Let's see. Fox 8 I-Team is reporting they received the flyer with directions on when to incite the rioting. That's what Larry Patterson told us.
Oh, okay.
What else? Nothing's going to happen to her at all. You must be talking about the owner of the club.
Yeah.
Some police officers are the same to a lot of people. I just seen a video where a black officer that was choking a black man. Right?
Yeah.
So they're choking a black man because they're under the patent roller.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And how you are trained,
yeah,
it says how you will be and how you will act and how you will do, right?
Yeah.
And so this is what this is.
Yeah.
And so let's go on with this. Let's go on and hear what else he has to say. Listen to his lies now. Listen to his lies because it's very important.
We don't know if Mr. Floyd knew that the bill was fake or not.
Turns out the 20 was real.
Right. The 20 was real?
When the clerk accepted the bill, Mr. Floyd left the establishment, and that's when the 911 call was placed.
Turns out the 20 was real.
Right. The 20 was real?
And what happened from that point when the police...
Okay, look. So he said after the bill, he left the establishment, right? That is not right from a retail point of view. That is not how it goes.
Nope.
When you get anything 20 or higher, you have a pin.
Right.
It checks the money before you even get the merchandise.
Exactly.
Then you hand the change, you put the merchandise in the bag, you say, have a nice day, see you again.
Right.
Something doesn't add up about the story in any aspect whatsoever, no matter how you cut it, because nowadays they have a machine. And you know that the Arabs that's been making all that money all that time.
You have a little, like you said, a little marker.
A little marker
at the register.
And they had a machine.
Just like that, it identifies.
It rolls right through and says if it's real or not.
Right.
So that
doesn't follow.
That doesn't follow. Take it from retailers. And if it was a situation, we've had people they never brought.
I have a story to tell.
Okay, go ahead.
I mean, I have had stuff stolen before, right? But then, okay, so let me give an example. Okay, so I had a person who stole a CD before, right? Because, people like to read the cover of the CDs and the sample CDs, because, you have the store copies that you play in the store. While people are listening to the music, they can, read and see who made the song, who produced it, right? And then one day, it was really busy. So someone else had like the store copy, just the empty case, but with the writings, because they wanted to read, right? The order of the songs or who produced it, whatever, right? So I had like a case and it had a CD in it, right? But most of the people were regulars, okay? So I noticed that the case was back on the counter, but it was empty. The CD was gone, right? So we had like, we had different promotions, but I remember at one time, we were keeping track of like the different customers, right? Mm-hmm. So they can get discounts. So we had their information, we had their phone numbers and addresses and everything. I didn't pick up the phone and call the police and say, hey, this person stole such and such. You know what I did? When I saw that person again, I can't even remember now. It's been years. I don't know if it was a week later or a month later. I do remember having a conversation with that person. I didn't appreciate you stealing the CD. You know that you're a regular. And you know that any time that you need a CD or if you don't have the money at the time, we've had people who they'll pick out a bunch of CDs, And if they don't have the money, let's say if it's a Tuesday or Wednesday, and if they don't get paid to that Friday or Saturday, we'll put it aside for them. Because they don't want it to sell out. So if you don't have the money for something at that moment, we'll put it aside for you. There's no reason for you to steal. You don't have to. And then most of the time, we'll set it aside for you. We'll let you know, well, when it's going on sale, or, I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. We have never called the police on anybody. I mean, let alone taking this man's life for $20. I mean, I have had conversations with teenagers before, whether they sold whatever. We sold like accessories too, whether it was accessories or whatever. When I see them again, I'm going to have a talk with them. And you know what? Each time, it never happened again with that person. I mean, it's just like, if you are a part of the community, it can be resolved in the community. Like, I don't understand how with this $20. Now, didn't this man say that the employee called him and told them about what happened?
Yeah. But he doesn't tell it in that story, but he tells it on a subsequent interview.
Yeah.
But he doesn't tell it in that story.
And then they tell them to call, and they tell this person to call the police.
If George is a regular,
right,
and you give him the benefit of the doubt, you say, you know, man, that last 20 you had, you came
right,
in and do that. What we gonna do to rectify it? Because here it is, right here, right? What you gonna do to rectify it? Or people have come in. I've had people come in and jump bad on me because I was a young retailer and they wanted to jump bad. I walked from behind the counter, walked into the door, and I said, I remember I tell this story all the time. I told the guy, I said, when you can act better, then you can come back and shop. Because this don't make no sense, right? So he looked at me, he had water inside because nobody had ever talked to him. He gave me the biggest hug possible, came back, and then later became one of my biggest customers, you see? But if people are jumping bad, the first thing that people want to do, Korean shop owners want to shoot you in the back of the head. Any Asian, whatever they doing, they jumping bad. The Arab doesn't give the benefit of the doubt and just correct it. You're in a neighborhood. You are actually a guest because at one time that was a black-owned store. And you don't have anything. I could never explain that. I could never explain that to some of the DJs. I could never explain it to some of the DJs. I would tell them, I would say, man, this could be on lock, right? Because, you know, it's one thing about Arabs. Arabs don't know nothing about music. They know about having the bad food, and they know about having a bodega type shop with day-old bread, week-old bread, and hitting on the women. They know about that. They know about having some toiletries in there. They know about that, but they don't know about music. And I could never get that through to the head because, first of all, the Arab in the black neighborhood is taking on a persona of cool black men. And, you know, some people walk in there and they see that wavy hair, but that wavy hair they had was always nappy to me compared to mine. That hair was nappy, right? And so they walk in there and they see it and they're putting on a persona of something that they're not in a neighborhood that they shouldn't be in if they should be. And here's the kicker. They know who we are as a people. They know who we are. Right. And so for them to sell you pork, beef, and the products that they sell you, they know that they are in sin. And they know that. But you know what they're doing? They're collecting that almighty dollar in the country of a so-called, that they call Great White Satan. But they know who you are. And when they treat you like they treat you. They try to talk to the women. They're women that are skirted off somewhere where you can't see them. Yeah. Right? Yeah. But they're talking to your women. When they do that, they know who you are.
Let me do a quick translation for those in other countries because we have viewers from other countries, right? Mm-hmm. Translation. when I say hit on the women, not physically hit the women, but meaning like what you said, flirt with the women, have relations with the women.
Right. So they know who you are, so for them to do that. So I could never explain that to some of the DJs. I say, because they didn't know music. So those DJs, those black DJs that would take their mixes to those establishments to sell and get inferior prices for the product that they were doing, just because they could move a lot of product. If they had locked it in with a black-owned business, they would have got a bigger pay, and it would have centralized it, and it would have squeezed the Arab out, and things like this wouldn't happen. And this is not just isolated to Minneapolis. This is going all over. When people don't have love for themselves. Because like I said, they know who you are. This is a perfect example. I'm going to leave it like this and we're going to move on with this story. We had a young lady that used to shop with us, and she would come in and say that she would go to this particular Arab shop. I was like, you shouldn't deal with them, because they flirting with you, and she couldn't understand what I was saying. They're flirting with you, and they're not supposed to be doing that because they're supposed to be living under their spiritual beliefs, but they're flirting with you because they think you're less than. Okay. So her father was actually a black Muslim, you know what I'm saying? And he had Islamic name, but her name, she would use the abbreviation or nickname of her name. So the person one day said, well, let me get your number, the Arab guy at this store. And she wrote out her full Arabic name, and he looked at it and he said, you Muslim? And then she said, no, my father was Muslim. He said, I'm not supposed to talk to you. He ripped the number up and got cold with her. Because they know their teaching, and if they're not following their teaching, they are abusing you, and they know who you are. The Ottoman Turks in Egypt today are not the Egyptians on the walls of the pyramid or the Egyptians that were depicted on the Sphinx. You want to see the Egyptians? Go to the Sudan, and you will see the original Egyptians before the Greeks made them fall. You want to see the original Egyptians? Go to the Sudan, you will see the Egyptians. They know who we are from biblical time. Everything that's drawn in there in the biblical times, before they got there, we were there. The Ethiopians, or King Selassie was the line of David. They know who we are, and when they don't do right, and they don't do this right here, no matter how much this dude repents, whatever he does, he will not be able to, he will see hell for this, and probably many other things.
I can imagine how they treated their customers.
This could have been let go and handled a different way, but it was automatically picked the phone up, especially if he was a regular. Especially if he was a regular.
Didn't they say he had left the store with the food? It was an exchange. So they took the $20, he took the food, and he left. It's not like he grabbed the food and left. It wasn't a robbery, right? So it was an exchange. He gave them the 20, they gave him the food, and he left. But he's gone, but then you pick up the phone and call the police? Like, it just doesn't smell right.
It doesn't smell right. And the whole story, like I said, there's a pen or a machine.
Yeah.
There is no...
we had a little marker just like that.
How did they know it was counterfeit? How did they know it was counterfeit after the fact?
Yeah,
Something doesn't
add up.
But then the reporter guy tells the other guy that was being interviewed that the 20 came out to be real. So what was really happening? That this man would lose his life over it.
There's so much wicked in the world.
It's wicked.
People are just killing innocent people, harassing innocent people, having innocent people arrested, giving them records. I mean, it's just...
It's ridiculous. Let's go.
He's arrived. Can you go through that second part?
So I'm speaking on behalf of what I seen on the surveillance because I wasn't present during the tragedy.
You know what? He's lying because he can't make focus.
Nope.
Right? He's not focusing in the lens, so you know that he is lying because he's not focusing in on the lens to look at you.
Body language.
Look at him. He wasn't there. Well, if he wasn't there, why were they calling him in the first place to tell him?
And I love how he brought a black representative with him.
Yeah, he brought, that automatically makes it racist.
It does.
That automatically makes it racist. It's no doubt about it. Give me a break. I sure do deserve it, right? So anyway, people, let's go through this right here. Let's keep going.
Mr. Floyd was arrested and taken across the street to the squad car on Chicago Avenue, and he was put inside the squad car.
Okay, let me pause right there. Now, we showed you this video earlier. Now, if he's watched the video, he says that he pauses because he knows that he's next in line to get it because, the Arab hasn't been quite in good standing since, the buildings fell in 9/11. They haven't been in good standing. And so he's sitting up there, he was put into the squad car. This doesn't look like he was it looks like they put him in the squad car, then they started beating his ass in the squad car. That's what this looks like. That's why I put the video on top of it. Great editing on your part, D. I put the video on top while he's talking. Now, he's seen this video. I know anybody with common sense, and all sense ain't common, but anybody with half a bit of sense would look at that and say, why is the door rocking back and forth? Why is the guy's leg intense? Why is the other cop on the other side? Why is he jumping and running around the car and the other cops got him down? Why the Asian is doing the lookout? The Asian is watching and looking out while they do their dirt. And he was looking out and making sure that people could not intervene while they were doing the dirt when they killed him dead. When he asphyxiated him with his knee, and when they were talking, saying, let up off of him, he can't, and he was saying he couldn't breathe, he put his hands in his pockets to be honorary and look at the people while he had his knee on his neck.
Wicked. And this is an ally?
And he's culpable.
He's an ally, huh?
Right? He's culpable, right? He's culpable. Because he's sitting there and he's gonna lie on the stand because he's gonna say, my eyes are lying to me of what I'm seeing. Let's continue.
And he was taken from the side he entered to the other side of the squad car, and while
he was taken to the other side of the squad car after he entered. No, he jumped out to avoid the punches, and then the other three cops was over there on the other side. What were they doing? He's telling the story, but the videotape tells a different story. Is this what they're gonna do in the court? They're gonna tell this story. They're gonna show this. Well, actually, what happened was I was putting him in the car. You were putting him in the car for 2 minutes.
Like they did with
you had him cuffed behind his back already when you put him in. You was putting him in the car for 2 minutes, the car rocking back and forth, and then he says that he was taken out on the other side. What was he taken out on the other side for when they were putting him in the cop car to take him to the 3rd precinct?
Dirty bunch of dirty cops.
Right? While the Asian cop is doing the lookout, the honorary Aryan is doing the lookout.
How many times have they gotten away with it? Oh yeah, a lot. Because that officer who murdered George Floyd has a record.
Has 18 complaints previous. And Amy Klobuchar, one of the times, let him off. Let him off and said there was not enough evidence. Amy Klobuchar, the one that Biden is going to possibly considering
right.
might make her his VP. Well, what is that to Because the hate breeds in the white women, boy. I'm telling you.
And shout out to Don Lemon, because homegirl was squirming in the seat when he talked to her about that. What did she say? She don't want to talk about politics right now.
Right. So, the hate breeds in the white woman, right? And so she will be just like the chick in Michigan. He's looking at her too. They are nothing but the slave master's wife that owns slaves too. And that's what she did. She locked a lot of people up, didn't look to try to get a certain case. They talked about the case. That really eliminated her from running for president when they started talking about it. So look, people, look at this. This is Minneapolis, right? This is Minneapolis, and he's sitting up here talking about what he saw. I don't know what he saw because I'm seeing something totally different. You see how people can look at something and see something totally different, but he's looking at it because he's got to still be in that neighborhood, and he knows he's like next in line to get it. As long as they're still getting and going at the Negroes, me as the secondary not like Negro, to now to the Asians that are not liked, who were once honorary Aryans, who are not liked because of the COVID, I could be next. So let me say what I think I see, which is not what's being shown.
He was arrested. He was pinned to the ground with the officer's knee on his neck, and as was shown in the video, it was for over 10 minutes, and he pleaded for his life. We feel like the energy and the anger and the built-up emotions against police brutality has been getting directed towards us.
Turns out the 20 was real.
The 20 was real?
Usually what we see, just a matter of questioning. Where did you get the bill from? How long have you had it? And has it been circulated from anybody else?
Turns out the 20 was real.
The 20 was real?
And they normally put it in a bag and take it.
Right.
Turns out the 20 was real.
The 20 was real? Oh my God. The guy with the Oklahoma hat said
the 20 was real.
Was the owner of that restaurant just trying to play it? Was he playing a victim at the end? Want to know why the anger is?
Well, he's like a bodega, right? Cub Foods. Yeah, that sounds like that was a different owned person. Anyway, yeah, he's trying to play the victim.
Oh, anger towards us. Well, you did call the police on the man. He did lose his life over bull crap. I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's ridiculous. And I don't have blinders on. I mean, I choose to see what's going on. I choose to see the truth. I mean, I have lived through racism. I have experienced racism. I have seen my friends and family and customers deal with it. I have seen my students deal with it. I don't wear blinders. It's real. We need to come up with solutions. This needs to be resolved. We know what we want. Justice needs to be served.
We need solutions.
We need
the solution.
We know we have the solutions. They just don't want to. I mean, how many times have black people are, those who are truly leading? I'm not talking about the politicians who are in office, but they're not really making a difference for us. But I'm talking about those who are really fighting for us and our issues. I mean, it's just.
So people, we've ran through this. This is the American Black Politic, right? Yeah. We ran through this to let you know what's really going on from an American Black perspective.
And then I just want to say I'm over that. We don't need any more damn conversations or what can we do with a big question mark. We know what needs to be done. People have to stop with all this white privilege, stop with making excuses for racism, step up to the plate. We can't ignore history. We can't ignore history because it's happening today. until we quell this and the truth is put out on the table. And if we keep masking shit and keep making excuses, I mean, people, we gonna have to. I mean,
here's a major
either we
excuse.
won or we not.
Here's a major excuse right here. Coroner George Floyd died from combined effects of coronary artery disease and
hypertensive heart disease.
Hypertensive heart. He died of that. He didn't die because
oh, come on, that caused it.
Because people can live with this into their hundreds.
He had his neck on his carotid artery. What do you think? His knee. The police officer had his knee on George Floyd's carotid artery. He knew what he was blocking off. He knew that man couldn't breathe. He's crying, saying he can't breathe. He's crying, asking for his mother. That's dirty.
And this is what the coroner.
It's dirty.
This is what the coroner puts out for the state to try to help get the police officer. All they have to say. Sometimes I watch the court cases, and I hope people don't hold their breath. I hope people don't hold their breath. I will be shocked. I'm going to be shocked, but I won't hold my breath for it. Right? I won't think that justice is going to be served.
Justice is racist.
Right? So I'm not gonna hold my breath for them to even say this. Sometimes I wonder why the district attorney wouldn't just say, "Hey, I have this and I have that, and I'm 80 now, I'm 90 now, I'm 60 now, and boom, boom, boom." It had to be caused because he had stress placed upon him to cut off, which would exacerbate.
Yeah. I mean, you can't breathe. You're going to have heart issues. I mean, come on. I mean, it don't take a genius to. You can Google that. You don't even have to be in healthcare to realize that. I mean, it's just the structure has to be torn down, and we need a foundation to build on, a solid foundation. And, I mean, this is unacceptable, and we have to stop accepting this. It's unacceptable.
It is, very much so. So
no excuses.
Now this one right here, people. Yeah, we picked out some photos of the week, saying to go along with the blurbs, right? And it was very important that we show these, right? But this right here, ending white supremacy starts with white people. Black people didn't told you. We didn't told you. It's been documented. 400 years of it. It's been documented along the way. And, all these the slave narratives, everything. Everything has been documented along the way. It is now time. It is now time for white people to step up and go to battle against those who are white, who want to keep this racism going. It's now time for white folks to do what's right and do that. Oh yeah, people. For those who thought that black people were looting, these are the looters. You see this? They're looting, and they're looting, and they're looting, and they're looting, and you would think that it was black folks, only black folks looting, but they're looting, right? This also came across, right? And this is about the suspected police officer that set the fire in the 3rd precinct. He was actually the one that set the fire in the 3rd precinct, right? Because like we said, they've been saying that white folks have been the ones that have been kicking up the violence, right? Between the anarchists and the police officers just trying to make it seem like, there are bad citizens and all that.
And that's the police officer, huh?
The police officer.
Come on, why are you playing with us? Eric Holder's investigation told us this. Stop playing with us. Stop saying, what do we need to do? You know what you need to do. Clean up the damn police stations.
You need to break down what it is, right?
Stop playing games.
This right here, white folks rioting for no reason. Taking pictures and smiling in front of burnt out cars. This is what's happening on the ground in these different neighborhoods, people. See, I stay with where it's at, right? I stay with who the problem is.
Right.
The root cause of all the problems of black people are people who are nonchalant, non-caring white people. That's what it is, people. Now this right here is an interesting one that I picked out. What's it say? Looting is what filled nearly every prestigious history museum in the Western world.
Yeah.
Are y'all anti-looting now? Are y'all returning the artifacts?
Yeah.
Huh?
Nope.
Come on, people, stop it. You know what we intro with? We intro with Tamika Mallory. She said the same thing. Like, you start out looting, you looted everybody, and now looting is just so horrible, and everybody is talking about, oh, looting is so horrible. Well, it seems like looting is the only thing that's getting the job done for y'all to pay attention, right? It just seems that that's what makes you pay attention is what's being looted, because everything else, y'all just seem like y'all just a nonchalant, non-caring, right? And what is it? What was the main thing? The main thesis that I said just a few seconds ago? The main problem that all black people face is from non-caring, nonchalant white people. Now, people, speaking of some funny memes that we saw, we'll go through some funny memes real quick. This one was pretty funny.
Okay.
You know, it's LeVar Burton. You know what I'm saying? He's wearing the hat, and it says, "I am black," and because he's supposed to be a Trump supporter, and he's wearing the hat, and he says, "I am black," and then there's Biden there, the overseer, saying, "You ain't black."
Get me started on Biden.
Right. See, what it is, people, is they rolled out John Lewis, and John Lewis said, go out and vote like you never voted before. The only problem is that if you go out and vote like you never voted before, you're going to be voting for Trump is a racist, Biden is a racist, Trump is for the rich, Biden is for the rich. What is the difference? The only difference is what you demand. Demand reparations. Demand the dismantling of police departments across America. Demand, again, reparations. I say that twice. And demand justice for all those that have been slain over these years, right? Demand. We have to have demands. Stop your hypocrisy. It's time for a redistribution of wealth. That's the way it is. Unfortunately, you made it this way. Oh, look. He's telling Obama, you ain't black. And it's just some funny things. It's just funny memes that I saw and I just said. And Obama sitting there with the prayer hands saying, I'm not. And here's one that was interesting, people, a meme that we saw. NASA finds evidence of a parallel universe where time runs backwards. It looks like somehow, and the person wrote, it's closer than they think. In other words, because time seems to be going in reverse.
Yeah.
Advances that have been made have been turned around. People don't believe in science anymore. They did science deniers, and they don't want to believe in anything. And it's like time is just reverse. Is reversing back. The advances that were made during the advances of that didn't go, huh? Let me move that down. That did not go. Because they never even saw that ad. That's crazy. But anyway, let's go here. We just keep going here. Alright. So people, look. This is how the protests is spread across the United States.
Okay.
Alright? It's amazing. They say they haven't seen this much activity since Martin Luther King was assassinated, right?
Right.
But there was never an ask. Or excuse me, not an ask. This is a demand. It's time for reparations.
Yeah.
That's what it's time for. Yeah. Any ills can be corrected with the reparations.
Yeah.
Any ills can be corrected with the dismantling of the Irish tradition of the police department, the patty rollers.
Right.
Any ills that you think of.
Right.
If you call the police on a family member, expect for them to possibly die. And we're going to tell you that. So many times people have called and you see it in the stories and you say, oh, that's not going to happen to me. But you call the police for whatever reason.
Right.
And if you call, they're going to die. So it's best to try to resolve the situation. Here's a nice guy who maced the little girl.
Oh, I couldn't believe that when I saw that. It's just horrible.
Unbelievable.
I mean, how wicked can you be, little girl? He walked up to this little girl, just maced her in the face. How about we saw it live the other night when the woman was reporting and they showed it, the cameraman moving, the police officer walked right up to the woman.
No, he didn't walk up to her. He was from a distance, but he aimed.
It looked like he was so close
No,
to
but that's
her.
because the fact it was a telelens.
Oh, he did telelens. Okay.
But he pointed. She said there was a bullet, and then when the cameraman turned, there he was aiming
right
at him, and then when he saw the camera, he turned, but he was shooting the rubber bullet
at the reporter. While she was, I mean, it was aimed at her. I couldn't believe it. The reporter, she couldn't believe it, could she? And even, she was out in the field. And I forget who the man, because she was a correspondent. Whoever, I can't even remember the channel now. But the reporter that was in-house behind the desk, she couldn't believe it, could she?
No,
the conversation went forward. I can't believe and she said, yeah, he just aimed right at me. I mean, this man, I can't believe he walked up to a little girl and just maced her in the face. The little girl just standing, they were just standing there peacefully protesting.
Here's another one. The witches, the Amish, and the Anonymous are all for Black Lives Matter. Right?
Right.
I mean, and so, these are just little things that we saw that we thought we would bring to your attention, right? So let's see right here. This one is an interesting one here. His death has caused global protests sparked by George Floyd's death in Toronto, London, and Berlin, right? So this is growing larger by the day, right? And there's people out of work.
Yeah.
There's no jobs. This could go on all summer long.
Yeah. My cell phone went out, or else I would have looked it up. But I know in I believe Toronto. I know it's in Canada. I believe the city is Toronto. I'm not sure, but it did happen in Canada. And a young black woman was thrown out the window by a police officer. So when you told me about the protests and everything, I'm like, they're dealing with it too. I'm sure they out there protesting for her as well. As well as George Floyd. But a young woman was thrown out the window by a police officer. A young black woman.
Curfews are going into effect since the protests and they call it rioting. But really, it's the anarchists and it's the Aryans and so the police are going to have to step up and start treating them like they traditionally treat descendants of slaves. They're going to have to start muffing and roughing them up so they will back down, because right now they're taking them to town, right? Let me put that there so you can see that. They're taking them to town right now and whipping them, stuff on fire, breaking into businesses, taking the corporate away, thus taking the power of the government away, because the government can't protect. So then they will say, well, what type of government will protect us? You see, but you have to do your research. You have to be on there for more than video games, or more than games, or more than the hottest dances, or more than the... Anyway, let's continue. We have a few more here. Look, YouTube took away 300 ads of the Donald Trump campaign. 300 ads of the Donald Trump campaign. I'm going to tell you right now that Donald Trump lost the election. Yeah. Just by what he said about loot and shoot, he lost the election. It was his to lose, because I'm going to tell you, the Democrats were setting up to steal it, okay, with those ballots going out. They were setting up to steal it. And so now, for him to win, the Republicans are going to have to suppress the vote, and do their tricks that they usually do. They're going to have to suppress the vote for him to win, whereas before it was his to lose. And with that comment about the loot and shoot, when the looting starts, the shooting starts, right? That's it. I mean, he lost the election on that. That was pretty self-destructive, if I must say so myself, because he had it, pretty much looked like he had it going away. He was going to have a certain amount of people. We wasn't going to vote for him, but he was going to have a certain amount of people. But we in good conscience, we can't vote for Biden, because Biden is no different, right? Unless he comes up with a true reparation package that he's going to sign an executive order.
That's not going to happen.
He's going to sign an executive order on day one. When he walks into the Oval Office on day one. Forget the ball, forget all that. On day one, when he gets inaugurated, he's not going to even wait. He's just going to go and sign the executive order and say, boom, reparations.
You couldn't even trust that. He has selective memory. Right?
He has memory problems. But anyway, here's an interesting meme talking about Colin Kaepernick taking the knee, but it seems like other people are more appreciative of this knee than that knee. And have you seen the different police forces around the country?
Yeah, a lot.
Trying to take the knee.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's not in their nature. That's not in the petty rule of
But
nature.
they were so angry, about Kaepernick taking the knee, yet they are taking the knee.
Right. They're just doing it because they have to appease, because these people are destroying precincts, okay? They are destroying precincts, okay? Yeah. No, precincts. I'm talking about E40. E40. People know hip hop. They know what I'm talking about. Precincts. E40.
See,
not precincts. Precincts. Right. At E40, right? And so, they're going around, but that's not in their nature. They're just trying to appease so that they can get back to normal, so they can go back in and start beating heads.
Let me tell you, if the police departments wanted to straighten this out, they would. How many times? I'm just so damn tired of each presidential administration doing a quote unquote investigation, and they present the facts, right? Mm-hmm. About the amount of white hate groups in these different police departments across the country. And they have a list. And they know who the police officers are. Yet they don't do anything about it. And they can. Now it's just like what Mr. P called up, and he said that there's a slight difference in each police department, right? Mm-hmm. So I guess he was saying, how can you across the board make everything across the board when everything is slightly different? Mm-hmm. But I can tell you, when it's about money, they make things happen. Right now, a lot of these big businesses are being destroyed.
Small businesses.
And corporations, just like money is being affected.
And they were hoping to get back
the economy going, right?
Get the economy going, but this is stifling the economy.
But they can, for example, in healthcare, right? Each hospital, and we have multiple hospitals across the country, right? And I'm talking about in the United States of America, right? Each hospital has its own set of policies and procedures, right? The same as the police departments, okay? When this COVID happened, all of the hospitals all got on the same page. And the policy and procedures were all the same across the board for COVID and reimbursement. I know that for a fact. So I tell you what, the police can do the same thing. Stop playing with us. Because when it comes to money, and that money was coming in with COVID, across the board, everybody was the same. Policy and procedure, they changed it. They can do it for the police departments.
Yeah,
so stop playing with us.
Stop playing. Look at this. That's so little, I cannot read that.
Which one is
I know what it's saying here.
Is it where it says YouTube removes?
No.
Are you showing the Trump one? Or?
No, I'm showing this one. Let me see if I can make it bigger so I can read it for the people here. Oh, that's right. They took out 2 precincts in Brooklyn. Brooklyn stand up. That's what the writer wrote about what they showed with the burning police van, right? They took out 2 precincts, right? Okay. So let's pull this up right here, right?
Not surprised when they ran down people.
Yeah, running down people. That's
what do you think the reaction is going to be when you do that type of stuff? Yeah. I mean, I'm just asking for I'm asking for a friend. I'm asking for the good police officers to like stand up and say, no, this isn't right, right?
I don't know if their teachings and their instructions can make them good. I don't know if that's possible. But hey, Floyd, this. Yeah,
but it affects them all. When the dirty cop does something, nobody can tell the difference between a good cop and a bad cop.
The state police were blasted for lying on the CNN report. Mm-hmm. They reported that so fast, we didn't know what they had actually lied about. They reported it so fast and then buried it that we didn't really know what they had lied on the CNN reporter about.
Right.
But obviously they told a lie and then, they forgot one thing. Mm-hmm. They forgot that, he's backed up by a white organization that said you're not supposed to touch our slaves. Because and the last thing of the night, look at this. People were putting this over the internet to show that, it's not a white thing, it's not a race thing, it's a police thing. And you can go to my consciousness page on a certain social media site, or my Crazy on Dion when you're watching this right now. You can read what I responded to the original poster, right? Mm-hmm. And basically, it's what our theme has been this evening about the patty roller. Right. When you are instructed under the weight of the patty roller automatically what looks like a suspect, how to handle a suspect, is based on the slave patrols that went to capture slaves who stole away to freedom. Right. And so that's it. You can't cut it any other way.
I mean, it's just like, for those who may not be well versed, I would, because I think it was during Christmas, I would recommend picking up the entire Hidden Colors series, documentaries. It's all the history that you need to know is right there.
Yeah. Don't deny it now. I mean,
pick it up.
See, we had to learn that with the Dewey Decimal System. There's people who have put it together for you.
Yes.
So there's no excuse for you not to know, unless you just don't want to know.
Tariq has made it easy for everybody now.
Made it easy.
He made it easy. Pick up the Hidden Colors
1 through 5.
1 through 5.
Right.
And he also has the
1804, the Haitian
exactly. The history is there. The information is there.
Which teaches you about when black people trade off on each other to try to get ahead.
Right.
right?
People talk about Ken Burns on PBS. His documentaries are good, but Tariq Nasheed's documentaries are great, are better, right? So pick up the Hidden Colors series. He has a series of documentaries.
That's right. He has a series of documentaries.
There is no excuse. So when when people keep saying like on the news, I'm tired of seeing it on the news. Well, what should we do? Like, it's like they have us on this like hamster wheel. For some people they have on a hamster wheel. It's like they're playing games with you. Listen to Pharaoh this morning.
Yeah.
And he said the same thing. These people know what they're doing. They're spinning your wheels, wasting your time. Afro Synergy talked about it this morning. T West. I mean, the information is out there.
Matter of fact, we had both of them on our show.
Yes.
So you can go back to those different episodes on the Film Review Live channel.
Both great shows.
On YouTube. Subscribe now.
Yep.
Because that's up there.
Yep.
So people, you have been watching an extended episode of the Film Review, Movies, Music, Culture, Politics, Society podcast.
Yep.
We are the husband and wife team. I'm Crazy D.
I'm Tracy.
And we review movies, music, culture, politics, and society, right? And we want to say again our condolences to the George Floyd family, extended family, friends, acquaintances, the people who he made a difference in. His little daughter, that she won't be able to grow up with her father, and her father won't be able to see her grow up. It's just...
And the same with Breonna Taylor's family as well. I mean, it's just... And we talked about Arbery, you know? So, I mean, it's just... This is not acceptable. It's not. It's not acceptable.
It's not acceptable.
It's
not
not acceptable.
So we want to do that because it's just horrible, people. It's horrible. It's horrible what people are allowed to get away with, right? They're allowed to get away with it. And as we close out, we're going to close out and end the show with the banner of the ones we lost, right? The ones we lost, right? In this battle in the North American wilderness. And again, this is the Film Review, seen on the Film Review Live channel on YouTube. Subscribe now. Again, I'm Crazy D.
Tracy.
And we review movies, music, culture, politics, society on the #1 podcast for information that brings you into what's actually happening and what's going on, the Film Review. And we will see you next week with another episode. And thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you.
The Film Review, movies, music, culture, politics, society podcast, interviews, movie reviews, and more. Live Sundays at 5:30 p.m. on the Film Review Live channel. Subscribe.
Hi, this is Bernadette Stannis, Thelma from Good Times, and you're watching the Film Review.